Over the years, I have read that people enjoy watching my build videos because I lay things out so easy to see. And I have to say that's one of the pieces of advice I try to give in most of my build videos. If you get the parts out and you have the space available to do that, at least it's a little bit easier to identify parts. Now in this cross bag, unfortunately, none of the hardware is actually labeled, although a lot of these pieces were labeled with plastic bags and labels on the outside. Now in the last video, of course, in case you missed it, I went over about, I didn't actually show undoing these, unfortunately, but it was not a big deal. I had already gone in there with some udder butter, if you guys have never seen that. Here it is. People were wondering about it, calrc.com. The udder butter waterproof grease that I've been using for years. Made sure to get all my bearings and everything in there. Made sure to get all the ring and pinion. This is the go-between axle, so this will be the middle axle. And of course the steering axle up front right there. So we'll cover that. Here in the manual right here, after the wheels, it goes into the assembly of the motor or the engine, or what I should say really is the transmission and motor assembly. Now it's already done for you in this new kit. This is a 2-speed transmission. Again, I went in here already and pre-greased on the inside. A lot of you would be like, oh, I want to see the gears on the inside, and I suggest you have buy one. Buy one. There you go. There's just a few things in there. And of course, me trying to film with all those gears in there and the grease, I know just with experience it can be a bit of a challenge. So I just put the grease in there, ran it on a small battery to make sure that it was actually free of any issue, and I'll show you that right now. Here is a 2-cell LiPo, and I'm just going to hook it directly to the motor, and we should get a show. There it is. So it's spinning freely, everything sounds fine. Change the gear. Changing it on the fly, everything sounds good to go. So we know that's good to install. Now the first thing it's really calling for that I can help show you guys here in the book is in section 10, where they're actually starting to put the drive shafts right onto the transmission itself, and also the 2 mounting brackets on either side. You'll note that they're using thread lock. Anytime you're using metal on metal, I would suggest you use thread lock as well. And it looks like they're actually using a Phillips screw here, so that's very interesting to see. I think what's funny is I'm gone through all of my hardware here and I do not see one countersunk screw at all except for these small little dinky ones, and that's definitely not them. How am I supposed to put on the first piece if I don't have the right countersunk screw? You'd think for $1,000 they would have fucking labeled the hardware. Well, that's pretty shit because I don't see any M38s here whatsoever. Not in there. Okay, set screws are in with the drive shafts. That's a good thing. I probably have some countersunk M38s here. I'm just so surprised that I wouldn't have that in the kit when they're telling me to put it in there. And a few minutes later, I've got the screws in place and the 2 brackets are now mounted. Alright, and then 4 bump stops. I think these are them here, like a hard rubber. Yeah, flexible, usable. They go into the frame rails. Now, these are very tight holes, and the tip of this is rather bulbous. When you try to stick it in, you might not want to go in dry. In fact, if you want to use a little of your udder butter on the side, I suggest you dip your tip right into the udder butter. That way, when you try to slide it into the tight hole, it should just go in nice and easy. Right? One in the top, one in the bottom. Oh, sorry, do I have your permission to do this, Cross RC? I do, okay, good. There, just like that. Yeah, put up a little bit of resistance, but if you just pushed it in, slid in, oh so smoothly. And then I take these shackles right here. Then you take one of these screws and a 6mm spacer, and you take the bracket and you put it on either side of the frame rail. Don't do it up too tight or else it won't have any movement in there. And then I'm supposed to marry the two front brackets on both sides just like this. So that's what it looks like when you're done. And then look at this beautiful servo from Reefs RC. The 555, the 555, 505 ounces, mounted up on an all-metal bracket that comes here. This gets to join. This is the first adjoining piece for the two rails. I'll get it in place and show you what I mean. Beautiful. Reefs RC. And a few short screws later with some thread lock, and look at that 555. Mounted up on the frame rails, looking choice as always. Steel gears, waterproof, not a submarine, but you can definitely get it in the water, splash around. A lot of people will ask me, why did I go with such a high-end servo? And I gotta say, for a truck like this that's heavy, that imagine these tires with any mud on that. That's going to take a lot to turn on the front. It's going to be a lot of weight, and this servo is not going to let me down. So that's why I went with this one. And then the motor gets dropped in with the transmission. Spread those frames apart, slide it down into place, make sure everything lines up properly right there, and cinch it down with some thread lock. Remember, if you don't use thread lock when you're out on the trail, you will have screws backing out on you, and then of course that might end your day, and so we always try to avoid that by using just a little bit of thread lock on those threads to make sure that those screws don't back out. Here is the shifting servo bracket, so I'll just grab that now. Of course, keeping with the Reefs RC theme, I will use the 444. This is another heavy-duty servo, but to keep it all uniformed, these are so beautiful. I'm going to use it anyway. I don't need the over-torque on the transmission, but you never know. When you're going up a hill and you're at a dead stop and you need to shift, sometimes a strong servo is exactly what you need, and we'll have to have a good BEC, which is a power regulator in this truck, to make sure that all servos get the power they need when they need it. And if we pay attention to the top here, we'll see that there are two holes on either side, here, and then on the top of the frame rail here. So we're going to take that shifting servo, we're just going to lay it on top right there, and then we'll cinch it in with a couple more screws. Okay, and then looking back at all my parts on the table here, I'm going to go over to this tree, because this is going to be the cross-section brace that I need, and then this will be the back of the vehicle for the back of the frame. So that's easy to take. And we'll just use the cutter here, why not? Right against the bottom. And then all the way down here, there is two holes in the frame. Just going to stretch this apart, make sure it goes in just like that, and supporting bump on top. Okay, here is a look from underneath. I have not put the drive shafts on yet. I did put these two cross tubes in that are just cross members. And you'll see as I roll the frame over, everything kind of comes to a complete right at the end. It's quite a long frame. Now I'm going to put the pintle hitch on. Come here, little dude. There it is. Beautiful. I love this. I thought it was a working pintle hitch. That's okay. At least it's a toe spot. That's better than nothing. And it'll be screwed into the bumper. These are fun looking little pieces. They're made of metal. They go on the end of the truck. Let me see right here. Yes. There we go. That's looking about right. Bumper on either side. Speaking of bumpers, look at this. Here is the front bumper. I was doing this off camera. I just went and painted the two plastic pieces on either side and then used a hand driver just to hand drive these bolts in. Right now, if you're watching, please comment down below. Do you like seeing bolts like this on your scale products, or do you prefer using hex screws or something like that? Look at these. These hooks made out of metal are actually on an angle. Pulling with this is going to be awesome. Then we'll just kind of dry fit it here for a second. Does it go on the inside? Oh, it does. Oh, it pokes underneath. Cool. Okay, and the last two steps for me right here was just to put on this, looks like it's going to be a shock hanger and then some sort of rubber bump stop right beside it. I did that on both sides, and this is at the front of the truck. And then take a look at these little beauties that I assembled off camera. These are the leaf springs. There is a plastic spring on the bottom, and then followed by a metal spring, then plastic, 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 and then metal on top with a metal bracket on either side. That's exactly what these look like. And then I also put together the little dampeners, but they kind of, slippery when oily. They came pre-done. You just have to take them apart, grease them, put the rod ends back, and then give them a little bit of oil. But I may give a little less oil. I'm not getting full compression there. What is it on the other side? Am I getting better compression over here? Yeah, a little bit better. So this one's a little bit too full of oil. So there, that's a hint at least to give you some help. So a shorter screw on top, a longer screw on the bottom. You can see that bracket kind of straddles the axle housing. The longer screw on the back is making room for the dampener, and of course a lock nut on either side. So just do that on both sides and move on to the next step. And then of course once they're in place, make sure they can move freely and move up and down. No problem at all. Okay, the frame is upside down. I'm just dropping this into place. And then the hanger in the hanger. Perfect. All right, all cinched in there, looking fantastic. And then just kind of a test on either side. Leaf springs working, suspension looking perfect. Son of a gun, look at this. In with these really long screws, these, oh my God, I can't believe they're in here. Look at that, there is the engine mount screw, the transmission mounting screw. 4 of them in here. With these screws. So if you're doing this kit, it's in with these. I'm sorry to be so far into the kit already, but at least it's in the same video. Okay, so the steering link looks good. I'm going to match it size to size. I just built this off camera. And then I've got the long steering rod up here, which is 117 millimeters in length in between rod end to rod end right there. I'm going to go ahead and install this on the steering, which is on the front spindle. Okay, once again, here's that pass-through axle where there is a drive coming out on either side. For those that watched the previous build video, I'm going to remove the red cap, exposing the screw that is already there. What is that for, you ask? It is a part of the 3-link suspension setup. Yes, you heard me right. This is where the truss is going to be mounted. Let's see, parts tree, truss mounting right there. So I'm going to have to make my own 3-link, not a big deal. Here are the very small rods for the linkage. All right, after some twisting and everything, I seem to have got it just perfect. So all I have to do is, let's just make sure I've got the right side. They're actually working with the rear right now, so I'll use that one first. That's no problem. Pop the top off. And boom, just like that. Both of them are now attached. Focus, there we go. This is the rear, and of course this will be the pass-through, so I guess technically for all the OCD people it should be like that. Except my tires are backwards, and then this is backwards, and then now everybody is happy. Yay! Okay, so I have assembled 4 of these little pieces. Now I'm going to be using these 2 pieces on the tree, here, and I'm going to put together 2 more sets of leaf springs. Look at this little marvel of engineering. Let's focus up on this. So here is a post that's threaded that goes in just through this little plastic piece right here that spins around. In between is this small little brass bushing, and then with a small screw and a dab of Loctite or thread lock, whatever you want to call it. There we go. Push that into place. A few minutes of screwing around, quite literally, and then look at this. This could be a dolly all by itself. Like, wow. Leaf spring suspension is in. The top links are not connected yet. Idiot. I built this leaf spring upside down in comparison to this one. It's like I've never seen a leaf spring before. That's easy though. All I have to do is undo 2 bolts and then I can flip them all around. And once it is repaired, you can see everything is even and rolling without any trouble. Tread direction's proper. Leaf spring suspension is best. Good to go. Alright, after many hours of building for me today, check it out. This is the last cap. I already put the other one on. Look at this. Just a plastic little cap that's going to go over the swing bearing right there in the suspension. All you do is pop it on and use a little bit of force. Well, there it is, my friends. Unbelievable. I want to put it on the floor so you can kind of have a look at where we're at right now. Tons of hours went into building this today. Short video for you. Well, kind of on the long side, but not as long as it took me to build all this stuff. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I still have a ton of stuff to go. I still have to install the drive shafts on either side. Still have to build the enormous body. But tell me right now, what do you think? I love these tires and the outside wheels because it simply looks like those tires that actually self-inflate. It would be nice if these ones did, but they don't. Look at these hooks on the front. They're just mean and nasty looking. All the way around. Guys, let me know, are you enjoying the build so far? What's your favorite part? Are you looking forward to me building and painting the body? Until next time, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Check out our next RC adventure. You can even see it right here.